What's up, guys? Today we are going to be talking about the combat movement phase as well as the combat phase. This video is going to be relatively short as there are a lot of similarities to Axis and Allies Global 40. And then I'm going to have a quick follow-up video coming out soon about specific aspects of the combat phase, such as convoy raiding. So, without further ado, let's go! Okay, so your combat movement phase is going to be nearly identical to that of Axis and Allies Global 40. Basically, any unit that is going to do any kind of combat is going to move in this phase. You know, that's pretty self-explanatory. You're going to have your strat bombers have to move in this phase. So if this guy's going to come bomb Germany, or I guess this is France, Dola, he's going to have to go move in the combat movement phase. The only thing that may be a little weird is, so say I want to move some subs into the English Channel here. Since the British player has a plane here on Maritime Air Patrol, even though no combat is going to occur, okay, there are no ships in the English Channel, even though no combat is going to occur on the German part of the turn, the British player with this plane here can choose to engage these subs as they pass. So even though the German player isn't actually engaging in any combat, combat may still occur and it is therefore a combat move. I'm going to explain Maritime Air Patrol in the subsequent video that's coming up after this, all about convoy raiding and Maritime Air Patrol and convoy escort duty. So that's just the weird thing. If somebody may engage with you as you pass, that still technically counts as a combat move. A couple other things to mention. Planes move the exact same. You know, they can attack land zones, but they have to be able to land somewhere afterwards. Sea zones as well. You have to be able to land on a carrier or in a friendly zone afterwards. One thing that's a little bit different is you can't fly over land zones that contain enemy aircraft. For whatever reason, there's a British fighter chilling in Alsace-Lorraine here, and Germany's at war with them. This German fighter could not go through Alsace-Lorraine on its way to Paris because there's a British fighter here. So I think that's a little bit different than Axis and Allies Global 40. Obviously, you can still fly over enemy ground units with no repercussions. You can fly over enemy ships. You can just fly over them and ignore them. But if there is an aircraft present in a land or sea zone, you cannot fly your planes through that zone. And your transports are going to function the same as in Axis and Allies, basically. You can carry either 2 infantry class units, so that's any kind of infantry, mountain, marines, normal infantry, whatever. You can carry 2 of them, or you can carry 1 infantry class unit and any other type of ground or air unit, which I think is a little bit different. You can actually transport planes in this game, which is going to be helpful for the Italians trying to get their Eritrean fighter back up through the Suez Canal. You can pop that thing on a transport and drive it through the Suez Canal while you were neutral to the British Commonwealth. This fighter's on Maritime Air Patrol here. Even if combat may not occur, just putting this guy out here on Maritime Air Patrol is a combat move. So if he starts to turn in here and you want him to end his turn out here, this is a combat move. And they can stay on Maritime Air Patrol indefinitely, so he can just chill out here as long as you want him to. And it's a non-combat move to take him off of Maritime Air Patrol and move him back into that land zone there. Oops. Again, I'm going to go over all of that in the next video. Submarines in this game are going to be a lot different than submarines in Axis and Allies Global 40. So just like in Global 40, your submarines are going to have first strike, and that will, of course, be negated by destroyers. However, destroyers do not block movement of submarines, so a submarine can freely move through a sea zone that has a destroyer with no consequences. The only thing that's going to block the movement of a sub are going to be aircraft on maritime air patrol and aircraft on aircraft carriers, because aircraft on a carrier is technically always on maritime air patrol. You don't have to declare it. So this guy right here is on maritime air patrol. These subs could move through the sea zone if they wished, but this fighter would be able to engage them on their way past. Okay, and the last thing for the combat movement phase is going to be blockading a port. So if you have 3 surface warships in a sea zone adjacent to any kind of a port. So right here, the British have 3 surface warships. So now the British player has blockaded all the German ports in this sea zone, and the Germans cannot receive Lend-Lease at those ports. So blockaded shipyards can still be used to build ships, but they cannot receive Lend-Lease. So if the British had their ships here, the German player could use this shipyard to still build units and drop them in the sea zone, in which case they would, the British player would have to choose to fight them or retreat on their turn. But the German player cannot receive Lend-Lease through this shipyard here. Okay, moving on to the actual combat phase. The attacking player gets to choose in which order the combats happen. So, you know, that's pretty typical. You just kind of pick them and go as you please and resolve the combat. I'm going to talk about special unit abilities in a video that I'm going to make, just going through all the units and talking about each of the, you know, special keywords they have on them. In terms of combat, your best friend is going to be in the rulebook here. Here on page 39 and on, it's got these charts that list exactly what you need to do and how you need to do it. So it's going to go through your first strike, your air superiority, which I'm going to talk about later, attacker, defender, all that stuff. It shows you exactly how you can do it. Blitzing is different in this game. It's done a lot better, I think. So you can actually participate in combat and then continue on to blitz. On this handy dandy chart here, it tells you how blitzing works, and it tells you, and it gives you your stipulations on blitzing through territory. Again, there's another one here on page 40, doing your naval combat, which is just as helpful, and it's very, very similar. So, but these charts are going to be lifesavers for you. Okay, one last thing about the combat phase is if you have a third party capture a territory that you lost. So let's say, you know, the Italians take Transjordan out here. Boop, these guys are gone, whatever. Italy owns Transjordan. And then the Russians, who are not at war with the British, come in and recapture Transjordan. So now you've got a neutral third party that has come in and recaptured one of your existing territories as the British player. The Comintern player can choose to either return that territory to the British, or he can keep it for himself. It's up to him. Now, the Russian player, if he owns a territory that was originally owned by the British can then turn around and declare war on him at that point. I mentioned some of the ways that the Comintern can be declared war on by the Allies in the Comintern video. This is another one. So if the Comintern owns an original Allied territory, the Allies can turn around and declare war on them. But the Comintern can return that land zone at any point that they want to. So say, you know, when the Russians get Transjordan, the Allies are kind of getting crushed by the Axis, so the Comintern aren't really worried about them. They can say, yeah, I'm going to keep this for now. And so the Allies don't declare war on them. But then once the Americans get into the war, the Allies start to turn around. They're looking pretty good. Well, then the Russian player can decide to return this to the British. And just like that, the British can no longer declare war on the Comintern as long as the Comintern hasn't breached any of the other stipulations listed in its reference sheet. So, if both the Axis powers are still alive and the Russians haven't attacked a neutral that's not adjacent to Russian home country. Once the Russians return Transjordan to the British, the Allies can now no longer declare war on the Comintern. And so that's kind of a cool little deal that happens. And that's it for the combat phase, guys. I'm going to make separate videos on convoy raiding and on amphibious assaults. So look forward to those coming out real soon. And I will see you guys later.